Do you usually use a sustain pedal, some kind of wah volume?
I always use volume, always a volume pedal. Since I can't play without a volume pedal,
And it's just for volume, really?
yes, I'm always controlling it.
It's just that some people use the volume pedal to connect with other things in there, with effects and everything.
No, I use it just for volume.
Just as volume, okay?
And I'm with my foot on it the whole time, man.
That's even a problem because you imagine I've been with my foot on it for years? Wow. Is it causing issues?
Many, several.
Me too, man. I just discovered one in my cervical area here.
I think I am too now. You know, it's just too much, I guess, old people's talk, right?
Wonder if at 57, I'm already at 45 with 3.
Yeah, I started around 40-something. Too, lumbar, right? We have 40 per grain. Lumbar, lumbar, lumbar.
And glasses too, right? No little glasses.
Glasses too for reading, right? But there's no escape from that. There's no escape. But anyway, going back to the pedal, there are these technical details, right, that I think people will like to know. I tried, but it doesn't work to place the expression pedal between the pedals, like after the distortion.
But is there any specific reason?
No, I prefer the volume pedal after the drives, right? Before the delay, before the reverb.
I see.
Because, I don't know, I got used to using it this way. It can be at the end too. Or if it were a master volume, right?
I see.
But if you play around here, it almost doesn't make a difference. You can do it with the guitar's volume.
Do you use the tone knob a lot?
I'm always adjusting it.
The tone too, right?
Yeah, and with the volume too.
It's funny because there's a guitarist who comes here. You met him, named Robertino de Recife.
I know who he is.
Yeah, and he removes the tone knobs from his guitar.
Left volume?
Yeah.
Why do I need this thing?
But he's a rocker, right? He must be a very versatile guy, right? He uses a lot of volume.
But I've gotten used to it already. Because it changes a lot, right?
I use it too, man.
Even the volume, if you turn it down a little, the sound, you lose brightness, gain more bass.
He uses a lot of volume.
I'm always playing around with this. The volume, pedal at the foot, to send it to the amp, but the instrument's tone is in the hand.
That's cool because just for everyone to understand, in case someone doesn't get it, if you adjust the volume knob, you have a change in tone.
It not only decreases the volume, but the pickup's response changes.
Because sometimes the guy wants to lower the volume a bit, and he lowers the volume on the knob, and the sound closes up.
It does close.
No, I'm trying to explain to everyone.
Oh yes, to understand that this is normal.
That when you have a volume pedal, you avoid this. You can increase or decrease without changing the tone.
Without changing the tone. Now there are the potentiometers that PRS, some models use, that don't change.
Do you like that or not?
No.
I didn't like it either.
I had it and I changed it. I prefer it to change because that's exactly what I go for, right?
And it's funny because we've been used to it changing our whole lives. Then suddenly you adjust something, it doesn't change, you fall, it feels weird, right?
Since I have a volume pedal, it has to change. That's the function for me.
And this happens a lot because the guitar's volume knob is more like a gain knob than a volume knob. So if you want to clean up the drive you're using, if you adjust it with the volume, you can clean it up nicely. And then in its final stage, like in rotation, it works as a real volume to kill the sound. Exactly. But when you open it a little, the sound comes in, but it's cleaner. It works more like a gain than a volume. Yeah, or like a filter, right? Yes. And just to wrap up this topic, man, so we don't leave Danilo hanging there. You mentioned the green drive and stuff in your life, right? Much later. But how long have you been dealing with the drive?
For many years, because my life has been long.
Did you have any difficulties with the drive at any point, like in the beginning? Or did you immediately?
Difficulty in not liking it.
Difficulty like starting to use the drive and, man, this sound is annoying here, or weird.
Yeah, maybe at the beginning, right? Everything has an adaptation phase, right? And I also think that playing with drive, we end up playing differently, right? The picking is different to start with, right? It becomes another instrument, right? The guitar with drive. I think so.
And when you use the drive for you, For example, when I play with drive, I don't know why, but some guys always come to mind,
That's normal.
but like it doesn't happen. And with a clean sound, maybe not for me, you know?
Oh, that's cool.
Do you have that or not?
I had that a lot, yeah. I remember that when I stepped on the drive, Steve Lukather would pop into my head. Like a ghost would appear, you know, because he's a guy I really admire. I think he's one of my favorites.
But it's funny because Steve Lukather is all about drive.
Yes, I think he's amazing.
Yeah, very much.
But also in the woodpecker, the rhythm guitar, he's amazing. Oh, yeah.
And he has a more aggressive drive, right, man?
Yeah. Talking with Torquato, we were discussing this. And I said something. I think we agreed on a point, which is this. His tone. If I had to play, maybe I wouldn't like it. It wouldn't be a tone I would choose. Because it's even a bit buzzy sometimes, right? But man, in his hands, it sounds good. It's his tone, right?
And he tends to use a lot of delay too, right?
Yes.
So it's not that it's hard to control, but he manages it well in that way, right?
It's sensational. One of the guitarists, Larry Carlton, too, different. But Larry Carlton was one of the guys who started to convince me that the drive sound is cool.
Which is a very creamy, warm drive.
It was Larry Carlton, I recall.
Without aggressiveness, right? For me, the guys I think of in terms of drive are Larry Carlton, Robin Ford.
Robin Ford? But I got to know Robin Ford later. Larry Carlton was the one in that George Benson era, which I told you I only listened to George Benson. There's a funny story, can I tell it?
Of course.
At that time, I just wanted to listen to George Benson, man. It was an obsession I had. One day I'm walking down the street, there were a lot of videos, and a mutual acquaintance from the music scene, who I wasn't going to sing with anyway, is coming towards me, right. Then I heard something. I don't know what. She was carrying a bunch of records, LPs. I said, man, what are you doing with all those records walking down the street? She said, I'm selling them. Selling? Do you want to buy any? I said, no. Right away, I said, no. I didn't say, is there any development there? I said, no. She said, man, there are some amazing LPs. Here you'd love to listen to them. Then I said, no. She said, ma'am, can I give you 2, which I think you'll love? If you don't like them, you can return them to me later. All right, fine. Then she gave me one by Paquito de Rivera called Explosion, and one by Larry Carlton called Last Night. Man, that's really good, right? Okay. Then I got home already, annoyed, right? I'm carrying 2 LPs on the bus. I thought, well, but it's okay. I didn't want to be, rude. Man, when I played the Larry Carlton record, I didn't understand anything, dude. I said, wow, Then I thought, well, she was right. She and everyone else who told me, hey, you need to listen to other things, right? Stop listening to just that. Because really, man, it's amazing, right? And that record is the sound of that guitar on that record is
beautiful, right?
It's something, this record is magical, isn't it?
Then you met her again and paid.
I paid.
With great pleasure.
And I bought a few more. But really, man, what we were talking about, these encounters, this meeting with her was just a coincidence. It wasn't that, but of course I would have discovered Larry Carlton anyway, right? But that was a turning point for me.
Yes. It was a good moment in your career, right?
No, I was a kid, man. I struggled in Uruguay. I was 16, 17 years old. At the time, I wanted to listen to George Benson, but nothing, nonsense, right? In my head. But anyway, and then I started listening to other things. Then Schofield came along. That album's still warm with Marroquin. Yeah, that's quite old, right? That in my brain was like this. Look, it gave a knot in my head, but I love that album, man. That started to change my musical life, those albums, right? And Pat Metheny, of course, at that time, too, or was it later? No, later. I discovered him later. I didn't know Pat very well at that time. I recognized his old albums later. The album Pat Metheny, I started getting into Pat with the Pat Metheny group, right? With that band, with Asnar, with Marcel.
It was the,
Asnar,
and it was the drummer.
Paul Vertigo.
Ah, that's right, yes. Antonio Santos. Joined much later.
That Pat Metheny group was his band for many years, right? That recorded letters from home. And
Paulinho even did percussion, right?
Paulinho.
The Brazilian Paulinho, you know, on percussion. He played with him for a while.
Paulinho, I don't know which Paulinho.
Percussionist.
No, the one who played with him was Nana. On several old records, it was Nana with labels, right? And Armando Marçal, Armandinho, right?
No, but who did he play with? There's a Brazilian percussionist who's been around for many years.
No, Paulinho da Costa.
Yes, Paulinho da Costa.
Compete? I don't know. No, could be, right? Paulinho da Costa played with everyone, right?
Yeah, I think he did some things. I might be wrong too.
But I think Paulinho da Costa was in another circuit, but
Did work in Los Angeles.
Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson, Madonna.
Yeah, who worked with Gabriel, Paul Jackson Jr.
He must be the guy. Maybe the Brazilian who recorded the most in history. Yeah, impressive, right? Impressive.